Hi, first grade. Mrs. Tamita here. This week for art class, we are going to be talking about landscapes. So, landscapes are probably a new thing for all of us, but we're going to find out what they are by looking at some examples. So, here are some examples of landscapes. So, just look for a minute, and I want you to see if you can figure out what these images have in common. So, what is something that all four of those pictures have in common? Take a good look and see if you can pick out a similarity between all of them. If you notice that they're all pictures of land, you were correct. They're also called landscapes. And since the word land is in the word landscape, that can kind of help us to remember that a landscape is just a picture of land. So looking at these examples of landscapes again, I wonder if we can find another thing that they have in common. And I'll give you a hint. It's something that you have been studying in social studies. Can you think of what it is? If you thought landforms and bodies of water, you are correct. If you can think back to what we've been doing in social studies, you know that your landforms are going to be your plains, hills, and mountains. And your bodies of waters are your lakes, rivers, and oceans. And all of those are present, or some of those are present in the examples that I just showed you. So a landscape will almost always show a landform or a body of water or both. So what we are going to be doing this week is you are going to draw a landscape that shows one landform and one body of water. Okay, you can choose which landform and which body of water. You don't have to do all three landforms. You don't have to do all three bodies of water, but you can choose which one of each you do to combine into a landscape. And this week we are not coloring yet. We're just drawing. We'll do the coloring next week. And the last thing is that they don't need to be perfect. Just draw your best and have fun. Now I'm going to show you how to draw each of those landforms in a landscape. Your work shouldn't look like mine when you're all done. These are just demonstrations and ideas for you to use. In this landscape, I'm going to start with drawing some hills. So to draw hills, I just draw some curvy lines like we learned how to in kindergarten. Now I'm adding a lake, but I like to imagine that my lake is so big it doesn't even fit fully on my page. Now, I need to think about what time of day it is. I decided it's daytime, so I added a sun in the sky. And since I already added my landform and my body of water, I'm going to start adding some details, like some puffy clouds in the sky and some trees next to the lake. For this next landscape, I'm going to use the landform of mountains. To draw mountains, you could use a zigzag line, or what I prefer to do is I start with the shape of almost like an A, and then continue those in bigger and smaller shapes all the way across the page. Next, I'm adding a river. To do that, I add a curvy line, and then another curvy line just like it, but I have them meet at the end. I decided that this landscape is going to be nighttime, so I went ahead and added a moon and some stars to show that it is night. And just like I did before, I am going to add some details like maybe some snow caps on my mountains and maybe some pine trees this time. To do pine trees, I just draw diagonal lines going one way and then the other, and add a small rectangle at the bottom for a trunk. And the last landform I have to show you is the plains, and the last body of water I will show you is an ocean. So first, I'm going to start by drawing the plains, which is just a straight horizontal line across the page. Then to draw the ocean, I draw kind of a wavy line going across the top. And in this picture, or in this landscape, it is sunset. So I added a half circle right above the ocean. Then I added a few waves in the water and just some grass details throughout the plains. And here are my finished landscapes showing one landform and one body of water. Remember, we are not coloring this week, we'll be coloring next week. So for today, just draw. You'll notice that I used a crayon, but you can use whichever utensil you prefer. Remember, you can use some of the ideas from my video, but try your best to be original and creative and make your own landscape.